I'm coming off of my most productive month. It's now June 2nd, 2025, and it's back to the grind. It's back to doing what I need to do. We're going to talk about that on this segment of the Get Geezer. If this is your first time checking out the Get Geezer, if you're returning to this of the Get Geezer, thanks for coming by. And if you would not mind, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome comments in the section below. Well, as I kind of hinted at in the last video, in which, as I hinted at in the last video, there's no reason of victory laps or celebration on my part, because I know what I need to do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, which contributes to a monthly basis. If you hear in the background, that's a semi-trailer that's backing up to the dock, and I'm at a freight forwarder, having picked up 3 pallets. And actually, this is a shipment that should have been picked up 2 weeks ago, but there was a delay in it getting here, and I wasn't alerted of things being ready until like Friday night. And the broker asked me if I were still available. I told him yeah. For me though, it's kind of the way I had planned to do it was to catch a double up opportunity, in which there's a load that I've been successful at booking with regularity. That load opportunity, that run went for a much lower number. Some dumbass motherfucker took it for a number that was at a minimum $100 less than what I got it for the last time I did it, and as many as $300 less than the most I've gotten it for since January. So, you know, people do some dumb shit. That's all there is to it. They do dumb shit and they try to justify it different ways. But what I was looking to do was really double up on a nice day and talk of then how I'd earn a nice sum of money before noon. So, you know, that's the reality of delivery and transport. As I've mentioned oftentimes in life, some of your best drawn up plans don't go as, some of your best things don't go always as you draw it up on the chalkboard. And this is one of those cases where I didn't physically draw it up, but I mentally had it drawn up how I wanted to do things. I would be coming here, probably about right now, checking in to get these 3 pallets that you see on the B-roll that were loaded onto the Geezer 16, and that's from having dropped off probably about an hour away from here on that run opportunity. So then, what do you do after you come off your best month? Well, what I try to remind myself is do the things that got you there. Okay, do the things that got you there, but also be mindful of being open to other things. And in my case, it's very applicable to say that you have, in my case, being an old dog, an old geezer, this old geezer has to be open to learning new tricks, to being open to new avenues of revenue opportunities. So what I'm going to do is get on out of here, because the plan is to hang around in this immediate area and hopefully look for another opportunity. I do have to be mindful of my hours, although in this particular case, I'm starting with a new clock, a new reset for the week of 70/60 hours. 70 hours if you do 8 days based on 8 days, 60 hours based on 6 days. What was interesting from this location, this freight forwarder, is that you see her on the as I'm driving out. What is interesting is that the forklift operator who loaded me up, as you see here again on the B-roll, I mentioned to him, hey man, thanks for accommodating me. I remember when you helped me out when I first started doing loads from here. And he's like, yeah man, you still got that van? I remember, yeah, you had that van, didn't you? And I'm like, I still have the van. I just happen to add this, and my goal is to add a 26 with a lift gate. And he's like, yeah, man, that's what's up. That's what's up. It's nice when people remember you in that regard, because I guess they see then that there's progress that you're making as well. You're not one-dimensional. And that's something that I was really talking, that's really one of the things that I didn't talk about, but what I was hinting at as well, when you give yourself options to create options, for more options in this video here. I can't tell you what those options are. I can't tell you what those options are. You know, for you, what the option may be, you finding people to make the money for you, and you keep kind of brokering those opportunities out. It could be that, or it could be you looking to expand with equipment. Whatever it is, the options that you have to create for yourself, or it could be even actual earnings opportunities, a contract situation that's really worth your while. I thought about contract situation driving here because I had to leave early today. I was thinking about, if I were still on that dedicated route situation, I'd have to at least adjust to the mental requirement of being somewhere at 6 in the morning, okay? And I'm not a 6 in the morning person every day. I can do it as I need to, but I am not a 6 in the morning person. And so for that type of money, was it worth it? Would it have been worth it to me? Well, people say you do what you have to do, and I'm not going to argue with you on that. But I think over time, they would have to pay me. That's the bottom line. They'd have to pay me, and because they didn't pay me, that's why I hadn't been doing anything. I've got nothing else to show for on that dedicated run opportunity. So the driving time for this is about an hour, and it still leaves me within range of possibly catching other opportunities from this area. And while I'm at it, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment or in any other segment, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. Well, the weirdest of things that have just happened, and it occurred at the drop-off location, at the receiver. In that, the forklift guy noticed that, hey, this is not what we're looking for. We're looking for motors. They come in crates. And I'm like, I agree with you, man, but this is what was handed. This is what was loaded onto the truck from the freight forwarder. And so I contacted the broker and apprised him of what was going on. And so he asked me, just go back in, confirm, double confirm with the guy in receiving what is that you were actually what they were actually expecting. And so he was listening in on the phone. I had it on speaker, and the guy confirmed, oh yeah, we're looking for motors. They come in crates. Yeah, I get that. I understand motors come in crates, but you just never know with these things. And so now it's a refused shipment situation. So that means with refused shipment, I should get paid. I should get something. Definitely what I had agreed upon, but then on top of what I was agreed to be paid for this load. So this may become a winning situation for me in a way that I did not expect. Now, my thought was really to complete this segment of the Gig Geezer was to talk about really as it deals with last month. I've noted about how I work a radius of operation, and so I'm not limited. I do not limit myself to just my domicile, I guess you'd say, home base, if you will. I don't really like calling that place home because it's not home. Houston is home. But my point is that in delivery and transport, you, depending on how your operations are set up, or how you have gone about doing your operations, you may have to be willing to expand your radius of operation in order to put yourself in a position to make money, to give yourself more options. And so this is something that I also wanted to mention in this video when I went from Camden to Dulles. While I was in my initial radius of operation, I'm not bound to, I don't limit myself to where I may have to go. Okay? But since I primarily work, since I primarily am home every night, and I primarily tell folk I work regionally, it is not out of the realm of possibility that yes, I may go 100 miles to pick up something, which is within my realm of my radius of operation, but I may drive another 200, 300, 400, 500, 400 miles, as in the case of going from Camden to Dulles, 460 miles in order to do to earn the money that I did last week. I hope I'm making sense. In other words, don't limit yourself. Now, I always talk about this fast friend of mine. He does not like driving a lot of miles. He tries to make as much miles as he can as close to home. And I understand why. Especially, I understand why. I understand exactly why he does this. But he has certain things too that are closer to home that contribute to his money that he earns. So when I pointed out to him in our exchange last night, the money that I earned from quote home last week was just 14.5% of the money that I earned. 2 weeks ago, it was 48.1%, and then 3 weeks ago, it was exactly 41%. So I'm willing to go outside of the home base, the home base, in order to go get the opportunities. Now, does that mean I'm going to drive 400 miles to pick up something deadhead? No. Am I going to drive 200 miles deadhead to pick up something? No. There's got to be a lot of money for me to drive that type of deadhead, not for no goddamn $1 a mile. No, it's got to be a situation that I passed on a couple years ago, where there was a load out there that was paying $5,000 to go from Pompano Beach, Florida, to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Pompano is like fucking a 12-hour drive. 12-hour drive for me to go to Pompano to do that. And I was trying to find out, hey man, are you sure? Is this all that I'd have to pick up? And I couldn't, and I passed on it, and I also said that I was just too tired to do it. But man, if I'm gonna do something, like if I'm gonna drive that type of distance, it's gonna have to pay me. That's what I'm saying. But anyway, these are some of the things that you deal with in the course of doing business. And of course, with me starting a new month, it looks like I'm starting on rather auspicious grounds right now. But I'll update you once I get back to the freight forwarder in about an hour. All right, I am back at the freight forwarder, and I'm also now leaving the freight forwarder with the correct freight. So what happened was I went inside to the office and apprised the lady that the receiver didn't take shipment because of the wrong items given. Now, quite honestly, my conscience is telling me that that's my responsibility to confirm what is to be loaded onto my truck. And I have seen other content creators, they'll look at everything, match up with the bill of lading or the delivery order to ensure that they're getting the correct stuff. All right, y'all. Here's a case where, folk talk about being transparent and all, and they say that they tell you everything that they want, but it's really, they're transparent in telling you what they want you to know. Here's a case where I could have, because I'd actually recorded it, but it dawned upon me, and then actually what truthfully said, I kind of shared with a friend about what had happened. He's like, he thought that I really won with doing this, but no, I didn't. So here's the deal. Now I said I was gonna pick up the conversation from the back at the freight forwarder, and again, I had actually recorded something. But then, the way things are explained to me, I missed. I swung and missed, or actually, I just stood and watched the strike go right down the middle of the plate. So, bottom line, in geezer talk, I fucked up. I left money on the table, and I'm going to share with you how I left money on the table. So, here's the deal. I've established the fact that I got the wrong freight. Drove 47 miles to the drop-off location in the middle of nowhere, and the customer notated on the delivery order that you refused shipment, wrong items. And again, I apprised the broker what was going on, and so I went to the receiving office at the freight forwarder and apprised them that, hey, got the wrong items. And so they confirmed, they looked at the freight and all that, they put their eyes on it, and they matched numbers with the numbers, and they all acknowledged that they fucked up. They brought me the wrong stuff. So then I got on the phone with the broker as the guy brought out the crates for, in this case, motors. And I sent him 3 separate pictures so that he had the documentation. And so then we start talking numbers. And here's where I missed. Here's where I fucked up. So I got paid going there for dropping that off. I agreed to being paid again going out there for the same amount. However, I didn't negotiate for an amount bringing the freight back, the wrong freight back. And as a friend shared with me, this is the business part that I missed. Numerically and YouTube wise, I could have gotten over and told y'all, hey man, I got paid twice. I got paid for 94 miles, and I'm gonna give you the numbers. For 94 loaded miles, actual loaded miles, for taking it to the customer, to the receiver, I earned $550. That shit sound good. But the business part of it is where I missed, because the way it's explained to me, the broker's going to charge the shipper for that missed order. They're going to charge them. It may be for the exact amount, $275 or whatever, but they're going to charge them. And they're going to keep that money because I didn't ask for any of that money. Remember what I've said. You can't get the business unless you ask for it. And the geezer fucked up. He didn't ask for it. He didn't ask for a piece of it. Quite conceivably, I left anywhere between $100 and $275 on the table. So that is a lesson learned, a very valuable lesson learned. Was it costly? You can make an argument, but I mean, you can justify even 141 miles of driving for $550. There's a lot of motherfuckers that would have done that shit for 47 miles. They would have done that shit for 125 miles. 125 miles. 47 miles. There's a lot of thirsty dumbass motherfuckers that would have done that for $125. And I'm not making that shit up. I see it all the time. Man. So maybe 150. They would have done that for $150 to how they got $3 a mile. Okay? But if you say that you're in business, you gotta think this shit through like a business. And I didn't think it through like a business. And the reason being, and I'm gonna tell you why. I choked up on the bat, and I started thinking twice about the pitch that I was looking for. Because I've been in some situations with that same broker. Not the person whom I dealt with, but the broker company, where I've had some wins and I've had some losses. With this same broker, I got their asses good a couple of years ago for holding freight for an entire holiday weekend, because what had happened was the customer had not paid the fee to release the freight, and I was there for several hours before leaving. And I contacted the receiver, and they told me, "Oh no, man, nobody's gonna be here until Tuesday morning." So that was Friday. Had to hold it through Labor Day weekend, and I wouldn't be able to drop it off until Tuesday morning. And so, what was a shitty run that I had agreed to, 200 miles for $250, I got instead $1,250 because I got their asses for the layover money that they were very hard-ass reluctant to give up, and it took me an extra day to get the money. Now, on a couple of occasions, they got over on me. In one particular case, I'm thinking of one particular situation. In fact, it was the last time, and I really felt like I'd been violated in some ways. On this particular run, it was from Myrtle Beach to Casey, South Carolina. So I was going to Myrtle Beach and coming back to Columbia, basically. And overall, I had agreed to $275 to bring back 130 miles, something like that. It was like 130 miles. Maybe it wasn't Myrtle Beach, it was Conway. All right, so here's the correction. It was $300 when I'd agreed to going there and getting it. So bringing it from Conway, Myrtle Beach area to Casey for $300. I got them for another $75 because they gave me the wrong address. And then I got them for $250 for layover because when I got to the drop-off location, there was nobody there. But the next morning, when it was to be dropped off at the freight forwarder, I had to help the forklift guy to muscle that thing up from the van onto their dock. Their dock is not conducive to vans or box trucks without lift gates. And so the broker said, "Well, because you didn't tell me about this, we couldn't pay." But here's the deal: I'd already gotten them for $325 extra. I basically hit their asses for double. But the business of things is that they should have paid me at least $50 for the my touching the freight, my having to touch the freight. And so that's why I'm saying that the business of this is where I fucked up. So if there's anything to talk about starting off the month, is that the geezer is back to the grind, but the geezer learned a valuable lesson in doing business in delivery and transport. So what I'm going to do is show footage of the freight being taken off, and remind you again about this week's live stream, I'm speaking. I'll be speaking with y'all at this Wednesday at 9 o'clock Eastern. I look forward to y'all joining the damn conversation live with me. I will be putting a link out there in the chat room for y'all to click, and that you can speak to me in person, live. You can almost call it in your own way a free mentoring session. If you had questions on at least try to pick my knowledge and understanding about certain things. But I look forward to seeing y'all this coming Wednesday at 9 o'clock Eastern on I'm Speaking. So yeah, if I were to sum things up, I could have easily said that, oh yes, I won, I earned $550 and I drove 94 loaded miles. But the true story is that it was 141 miles, I earned $550, and I left anywhere between $100 and $275 on the table. And if you like the content that's been provided in this segment or in any other segment, hit that subscribe button. Give my content a thumbs up. Share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I'm Inwood Lane. As always, may your grind and may your hustle continue.